It's never too early to talk draft here on the Commanders Report, as today we're going to be taking a look at all the top quote-unquote way too early mock drafts for the 2026 NFL Draft and who the top draft analysts are projecting for the Washington Commanders to take in round one of next year's NFL Draft. Now, obviously, things are going to change from now until the draft next spring, guys. There's still a lot of football that needs to be played, and a lot of times, the people that are being put as potential first-round picks in these way too early mocks end up not even going in round one when it's all said and done. But I think it is important here to kind of look at some of the players that some of these draft analysts are looking at for this team, and so that Commanders fans can really know which players they should be keeping their eye on when college football ramps up again in the fall. Now, before we get into the video today, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We have daily Commanders videos on this channel that are informative, in-depth, and free. We also have breaking news coverage of the Commanders trade for Trey Hendrickson this offseason. Will be live for you guys on this channel. We have over 41,000 people that have already clicked that subscribe button here at the Commanders Report. We're one of the fastest growing channels here at Chat Sports, and that's all thanks to you guys. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already to join the Commanders Report family today. So let's start with Dane Brugler, one of the more respected draft analysts in the draft space from the Athletic, who have the Commanders taking a Whit Weeks, an off-ball linebacker from LSU with their first-round selection next year. This is what Brugler had to say about the Tiger linebacker. Weeks was a tackling machine for the Tigers last season and looked like a future early round pick. He suffered a dislocated ankle in LSU's bowl game, but he'll hopefully return to his 2024 form early this upcoming season. And that injury 2 weeks is definitely something that I'm going to be keeping my eye on as one of our NFL draft analysts here at Chat Sports, because if he doesn't look the same, that draft value for him is definitely going to go down. But last year, 120 tackles and 3.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles from an off-ball linebacker. He is somebody that brings some really good coverage ability as well from a linebacker. And he, as far as potential first-round linebackers go, he's certainly going to be in that conversation if he continues to play well on film with the LSU Tigers this fall. Then speaking of off-ball linebackers, this is becoming a theme here already. Jason McIntyre from Fox Sports projects that the Commanders will take Anthony Hill, another off-ball linebacker, this time from the University of Texas. This is what McIntyre and J-Mac had to say about the Longhorn off-ball backer. Bobby Wagner was excellent in 2024 for Washington, but can we expect the nearly 35-year-old to do that again? Hill goes into next season as the premier inside linebacker in college football. And you guys can see last year put up some great numbers, particularly as a blitzer, which really is going to intrigue Joe Whitt Jr. and Dan Quinn, who love their off-ball linebackers to blitz. They do it all the time with Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner. And Hill last year had 8 sacks for the Longhorns, so he can certainly get after quarterbacks. He also had 4 forced fumbles, so he has the ability to really be an impact player from this position. So if the Commanders are really looking for that long-term Bobby Wagner replacement, let's say he retires next offseason, Hill is certainly somebody that could be going in kind of the later portion in round one, right around where the Commanders are going to be picking, and certainly somebody that's going to be on the Commanders' radar. And I definitely think that off-ball linebacker is expected to be a top priority. And, we'll see how Dominique Hampton kind of develops this year. Guys like Tyler Owens, that's going to be playing potentially a bandit safety type of role in this type of defense, similar to what Jeremy Chin ran in this defense last year. We'll see how Kane Medrano plays this year. We'll see about Jordan McGee, who was a late-round draft pick for them last year. They've got some younger pieces in this kind of room that could develop this next season that makes this need for Bobby Wagner replacement obsolete come next spring. But if none of those guys really come to the forefront and then Wagner, say, retires, then I definitely think interior linebacker is going to be something that's going to be at the top of the list of priorities for the Commanders to get done next offseason. So coming up here on the Commanders Report, the other top priority, we are going to take a look at 2 more way too early mock drafts where they, once again, have a position where they both take a player at that positional group. But before we get into that, we reveal who that final positional need is that we'll talk about on today's show. Let's have a word from our sponsor today at Prize Picks, which is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cold, hard cash. With millions of members, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. All you have to do is pick more than or less than on at least 2 player stat projections for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, and you can also turn your playoff hot takes into tickets to basketball's championship series. Every lineup you make on Prize Picks will enter you in the Takes Two ticket sweepstakes, where you could get you and a +1 a trip to the championship. So sign up today and get $50 instantly, and you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where every Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25%, provide even more value for your lineups. You guys can get your lineups in on Prize Picks now, and this is what it would look like, guys. On your phone, you take the more or the less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. In this one, we are taking the more on three-pointers made per game average in the Eastern Conference Finals for Jalen Brunson of the New York Knickerbockers, and we're going to take the less on those three-pointers made per game for Mikal Bridges, and we'll take the less on Tyrese Halliburton for that same category as well. So if you guys want to get in on the action today, download the app and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. So the Pro Football Focus in their way too early mock draft have the Commanders taking LT Overton, the edge rusher from Alabama. He was their top edge rusher last year for the Crimson Tide, and this is what Pro Football Focus's team has to say about this pick. Overton is one of the more versatile and well-rounded defensive linemen returning to college football. He posted an 81.7 PFF run defense grade along with a 77.6 PFF pass rush grade in 2024. He also led the Crimson Tide by a wide margin with 39 pressures and generated an 18% pass rush win rate. And last year, Overton didn't have a ton of sack production there, just 2 sacks, but he did have a ton of pressure production. So keep your eye on LT Overton this fall with the Crimson Tide, because he certainly got the physical pedigree to be a first-round pick, 42 tackles last year and a forced fumble. He's a good run defender as well, which is important for Dan Quinn and Joe Whitt Jr. From an edge rusher in this Washington Commander scheme. Plus, he's got some good size, which is also important to them in terms of having an early down role in their 4 down front. 283 pounds is a pretty decent size of man right there, and Overton certainly brings that as a bigger edge rusher type of player. Then another player that this time Jordan Reed from ESPN, somebody that I really respect as a draft analyst, has Matteo. I'm going to give this my best shot here, guys. Ugalele. Goodness gracious, I definitely butchered that. The edge rusher out of Oregon is certainly somebody that's going to be an interesting name to keep your eye on during the college football season this year. This is what Reed had to say about the Duck edge rusher. I'm not even going to say the last name again, guys, but took a major step forward as a sophomore in 2024 with 10.5 sacks and 13 tackles for loss. At 6'5" and 270 pounds, he is a versatile edge rusher who already has an established repertoire of pass rush moves. Coach Dan Quinn would love him rushing the passer in D.C. And kind of like Overton here, this guy from Oregon, he's got some nice size to him as well. 270 pounds, so he can play a true defensive end in the Commanders' 4-2 base system here, where they kind of base out of nickel. And, he got the 10.5 sacks last year, so his sack production was a lot better than LT Overton's last year. He had 2 forced fumbles, 38 tackles. He's a decent run defender, but what he's really known for is his versatility as a pass rusher with his ability to beat you in a number of different ways. So I do think that this is certainly somebody that will be on the Commanders' radar next year at the edge rusher position. But at the end of the day here, guys, it's certainly a possibility that the Commanders don't land, a top flight edge rusher that they lock up for the next several seasons, someone like a Trey Hendrickson in a trade this offseason. If that's the case and that they still fail to land one by the trade deadline or in free agency next offseason, round 1 edge is once again going to be on the table for the Washington Commanders. Now, I think that this defense values, true one-on-one dominant type of edge rushers less than maybe a different style of defense because of how many stunts and games and loops that the Washington Commanders like to run with Dan Quinn and Joe Whitt Jr. calling the plays here. They like to generate pressure with deception instead of one-on-one dominance more often than not, which is why they haven't really prioritized this position in their early tenure here with the Washington Commanders. But certainly, if you get a player that you feel can be a truly special player at one of the more premium positions in the National Football League, I don't think the Commanders can spend another season passing on that. So predict it for me down there in the comment section. what is going to be the biggest need for the Washington Commanders heading into next offseason? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section to finish up today's show. That'll be it for today's edition of the Commanders Report by Chat Sports. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of today's program. I'll catch you guys later with more Commanders content as the week progresses. And until next time, guys, hail to the Commanders.